Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Scenes, your own Hevsel Times. Today, we are thrilled to introduce Gulbin Atli, a brilliant alumni of Diyarbakır Bahçeşehir College Science and Technology High School and a current undergraduate student at Stanford University. Gulbin's journey is one of passion, innovation, and remarkable achievements. As the co-president of the technical department at Animal Vehicle Company, she has been at the forefront of designing robotics and engineering solutions for animal welfare. Under her leadership, Animal Vehicle reached worldwide finalist status in the Conrad Challenge, earned second place in Turkey at Technofest, and won a regional championship in TÜBİTAK competitions. Her dedication to STEAM and entrepreneurship has earned her global recognition, including being named one of the world's top 100 brightest school students through RISE. This honor paved the way for her acceptance into Stanford University with a full scholarship, where she continues to push the boundaries of innovation. Today, we will dive into Gulbin's inspiring journey, learn about her projects, and hear her vision for the future. Hi Gulbin, how is life at Stanford?
It's pretty well. Thank you for asking.
Thanks again for accepting our invitation. With your permission, I'll move on to the questions. Being named one of the world's top 100 brightest high school students is an incredible honor. What do you think contributed most to earning this recognition, and how did it shape your path to Stanford?
Thank you for the good question. Um, I think the thing that most contributed to earning this recognition was my past experiences, the projects that I conducted individually and with my team, or like the previous teamwork and achievements that I had. To give a specific example, for example, my RISE project was a technical project. And when I was a freshman in high school, I had no idea about how to design a technical project by using sensors or like how to approach the global problems in the world. But then I learned to do it with uh, my project and me and my team's project, which was called as Animal Vehicle. We learned together how to design a technical project together. We learned together how to write a research paper about our projects or how to prepare a project, have to be a team. So I can say that it was not only my success, it was thanks to the past experiences that I had with my team, with my friends, and with my teacher. And for the question that you asked, like how did it shape my path to Stanford? RISE has a really long and tough application process. It is an initiative of two foundations. One of them was funded by the Google's old CEO, Eric Schmidt, and his wife, which is called as Schmidt Features, and the other foundation is one of the foundations in Oxford. And these two foundation initiated RISE, and RISE was at the top of in my honors list in my application to Stanford, and I think Stanford was aware of their existence and reputation of RISE.
Alright, thanks for your answer. So, I actually have a second question, and I hope it will be a good inspiration for students who want to excel in STEM and entrepreneurship. What practical advice would you give them to turn their ideas into impactful projects like you did with Animal Vehicle?
The first thing that comes to my mind is I think everything needs time. In all of my projects, both individual and team projects, the first and last versions of the projects were completely different. So I think at first, the most important step is being sure about the potential of the project. And after being sure about it, creating a draft example of the project and improving it by taking ideas from the target audience and experts is the best way to give the best final shape of these projects. So I would say being patient and always staying up to date about the improvements is the best way to turn ideas into impactful projects.
All right, so looking back at your high school years in Diyarbakir, what were the key experiences or lessons that prepared you for success in Stanford and in other global competitions like RISE? After all, many people who are currently in high school are in need of having some advices or seeing some experiences from the real life in order to know how people succeed in order to acquire information regarding their own futures as well. So, what were some of the key experiences that you faced in this regard?
This is a really good point. I guess I have two stories about it. The first one is when I started to high school, like when I was in prep class, it was a really tough process for me because I wanted to leave the school in the first month because I was not able to talk in English in the prep year. I was always crying, and my counselor, gym teacher, and our school's principal, vice principal was always talking me about being patient and seeing the improvement at the end of the year. And I chose to believe them that I saw the improvement at the end of the year, as they said, and I was I'm glad that I made the right decision. This was the first story, and the second key thing that comes to my mind is the time when my best friend Siaran Bejan and I were working day and night for the Animal Safety project. Every one of us had different roles in the team, and when we saw that how a team who had no idea about technical circuits, coding, animal rights, and global problems can be able to make an impactful project, which was selected as the second best project in Turkey and one of the five best projects in the world in Conrad Challenge, which is a competition that was sponsored by NASA, and RISE. So I think for these two stories, the common point in these two examples is having people like I had people around me who always wanted the best for me, which was the key thing that always kept me motivated and gave me the hope about conducting impactful projects.
All right, so my next question, in my opinion, is really important and unique compared to the rest because many people experience failure and setbacks throughout their works, on their projects, on their missions, or doing something impactful that's other than a project or a mission. So, can you share a specific instance when you faced failure or setbacks during a project or let's say something else, and how you turned it into a learning experience? Because people really struggle about getting positive experiences out of like negative things happening about their projects at times. So perhaps getting some inspiration regarding someone else's negative experiences will be a good motivation for other high school students.
I love this question, and I have a really good example for this question. Um, when I was preparing my project for RISE, I started preparing my project 6 months before the deadline. It was a technical project. It was about agricultural technologies, and um, I prepared everything. Like I prepared my videos for the application, my prototype, digital drawing of my prototype, coding of my prototype, uh, the essays that I had to write for my application. Everything was ready to be submitted, and just 3 days before the deadline, because I wasn't saving my documents in a Google Drive or something else. Just 3 days before the deadline, my computer stopped working and I lost everything. It was the opportunity of my life, uh, and it was my last chance to apply because in the next year I was not going to be able to apply because of my age. Then I started crying. We went to a repair shop, and the repairer said he had never faced with such a problem in his life. And he said he needed some time to be able to repair this computer, but I only had 3 days. I didn't have any time to start everything from scratch. Um, then we went back to home. I realized that I had only two options to follow. The one of them was giving up in the first big obstacle, and the second one was uh, doing my best. So I chose the second one, and I got my sister computer. I started preparing everything from scratch, my scripts for the videos, my coding for my circuit. Uh, I literally couldn't sleep day and night. My family was helping me, uh, and my friends were also helping me, my counselor. Um, then in 3 days, I could finish everything, and just a couple of hours before the deadline, the repairer called me and he said he saved everything in my computer. And um, just one day ago before the deadline, I literally had no version for my projects, and just a couple of hours before the deadline, now I had two versions. I thought it was like a fate. Then I thought there should be a reason for this obstacle, and I sent the ones that I prepared in these last 3 days. Then I was selected as the finalist. So probably I will never be able to forget this experience, but for the learning experience, at first, of course, I learned to use Google Drive to save all of my documents, all of my work. But then I realized that if something bad happens in our lives, it always have it always has a good reason that will lead to better things.
All right, thanks for your answer, and I'm pretty sure that it will be a productive answer for the other high schoolers who are in need of some assistance. Now, I would like to talk about your university life at that actually, because we have been talking about your high school life primarily. So, looking ahead, what are your long-term goals, both academically and professionally in Stanford? Do you see yourself continuing in the entrepreneurship, research, or a blend of both?
Um, so right now I am a freshman at Stanford and I am still trying to decide on my major. I am in a dilemma between mechanical and electrical engineering, and currently I am taking courses that can help me to decide which one best fits for me and my goals. But for a really long-term plans, I plan to work in a tech company at first after I graduate from college, to be able to learn how the business goes in the tech companies. But then I want to start my own tech company at some point of my life, I guess.
All right, so let's go to the next question, shall we? As someone studying at Stanford, how do you think the university's entrepreneurial ecosystem and other ecosystems, such as the academic ecosystem, differs from the environment in Turkey? What lessons have you learned from both settings? Because when you think about it, Turkey and America, especially Stanford, have really different university systems and functionalities. So, what are the primary differences between the two university systems that you've got to observe?
Um, this is a really good question. I think the first thing that comes to mind when you think about Stanford students is probably the startups that the Stanford students initiate. In general, many people take a gap year during their college life to be able to initiate their ventures. Um, so I think this place, like Stanford, is like the key spot on networking, specifically thanks to Silicon Valley, for sure. Uh, for example, every week there are some various seminars like career fairs or company introductions. And these people from the different companies are here to support Stanford students to initiate their ideas or give them the opportunity to make their dreams happen while these students work with their companies. Therefore, I think the thing that differentiates Stanford entrepreneurial ecosystem from the environment in Turkey is the high number and level of opportunities that both support Stanford students professionally and financially to help them to put their ideas into impactful ventures.
All right, so let's head to the seventh question. If you could work on a completely new project or be in a completely different field unrelated to your current work, what would you be and why? I mean, in Stanford, as you said, you're currently focusing on two, like, let's say, different types of engineering. So if you were unable to pursue that, what would you be pursuing and why would be that according to your interests?
Probably the first one will be finding an early detection or maybe like a prevention system for earthquakes for sure. Uh, because just 2 years ago, we lived a really big earthquake, like two earthquakes in Turkey. Almost 100 and thousands of people died and injured. And I wholeheartedly do not want it to happen again. So as a long-term plan, I always consider working on a project about earthquakes. But currently, specifically after the wildfires in Los Angeles, and I remember, I think around 2021, many wildfires happened simultaneously in the west coast of Turkey at the same time. And like after these two big examples, I would also work on wildfires too.
All right, so here comes my last question. What advice would you give to students from smaller cities or less resource schools who dream about competing on global platforms or going to prestigious universities like you did? After all, you're also from a region which can be considered to be less resource relative to the rest of Turkey, and you've got to come to a prestigious school and acquire global successes from that city. And there are many other students who are under similar circumstances, so what advices would you give to them?
Um, I think at first everything seems impossible. But when you get into this work, I think like for me, there is no such thing as impossible. So the only advice that I can give is that students should focus on using the resources they have in the best way possible and trying to excel, regardless of whether they're in a big or small city. Uh, because otherwise, the fact that, for example, the school is a disadvantage is just an excuse for me.
Right, so thanks so much for joining us today, Gulbin. We sincerely appreciate your insight and are confident your words will inspire many students. Thanks for watching, dear viewers, and as always, it was Evsel Times.